Hey, Steelers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to our Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video here on a Tuesday. A lot is going on with Pittsburgh here this offseason. I wanted to jump in and begin with the main conversation, and that's the quarterback position. I feel like I'm talking about quarterback position all the time here. However, it is important because the Steelers are very much in a season of fluctuation in terms of what they're going to do, rebuilding, getting a new quarterback, Big Ben retiring, free agency draft, and so on and so forth. We talked about that here, of course. However, everyone wants to know right now, Aaron Rodgers. What are the real odds of signing Aaron Rodgers? How would the Steelers go about acquiring Aaron Rodgers? I'm going to break that all down for you guys in plain, simple English. Now that Rodgers is done in the postseason, probably going to leave the Packers, and then the Steelers, of course, are being tied there, as we'll see in just a couple of minutes. So first off, obviously, with Rodgers' loss last weekend, the 2022 trade hype has really begun. I mean, literally, had Rodgers won the Super Bowl, I think he would have stayed with the Green Bay Packers, but since, of course, he did not, and that was kind of another ugly loss in the postseason, and now he's racking up these seasons when he doesn't go to the Super Bowl. I think he's eventually going to work a way to whether he's going to be outright cut by the cut by the Packers. Unlikely, but still it's been floated out there, or more likely actually traded. Now, when you look at the odds, as we'll show you here in just 1 second, the Steelers had the second best odds to land Rodgers behind the Denver Broncos. Denver has more cap space, they have more trade ammo, and so that's to me the most likely destination. But if you go by the betting people, they say that Pittsburgh has the second best odds. Now, the one thing that I think kind of should slow the roll there, and we'll talk about all the main reasons, but Rodgers has said he does not want to go through a rebuild. He said that Monday in a press conference, or I think it was Sunday night. Either way, it was the first press conference after the loss to the 49ers. He said he doesn't want to do a rebuild, hence why he doesn't want to go back to the Packers, and then I think that's maybe why you might not want to go to the Steelers, because, either way you look at it, the Steelers are very much in kind of a situation of maybe not rebuilding, but very much resetting the roster currently in Pittsburgh. Now, when you look at the odds, right, the odds are very, very simple. Multiple betting websites have these out right now. Denver is the odds-on favorite, plus 250. The Steelers are right there behind them, plus 350. You have the Dolphins, plus 450. I don't know if the Dolphins make sense. I don't know why they're number 3 right there, other than the fact that, they're not sold on Tua, which I guess that makes sense. Then Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia makes the list because they have 3 first-round draft picks, but I don't see Rodgers going to Philadelphia because they're still kind of trying to rebuild a little bit, and I'm not sure if they're one player away or a quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl. Now, for everyone out there on Twitter who wants to rip Aaron Rodgers right now, let me just be very, very clear. Rodgers is still a top 3 quarterback in this league right now, and I stand behind that despite the fact he struggled very clearly in that playoff game against the 49ers. Like, your team could do a lot worse than Aaron Rodgers. The Packers with Aaron Rodgers are a playoff team. They're probably winning their division, or at least competing very much up there with the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, Rodgers, at least during the regular season, is incredible. And so there's a lot of Rodgers hate on the timeline right now, but it takes away from the fact that he's an incredible quarterback and still played very, very well and just had one bad game there in the playoffs. Where will Rodgers play in 2022? What do you guys think? Do you have like a crystal ball in front of you? Shake the magic 8 ball. Where do you think Rodgers will play in 2022? Let me know down below right now. Now, before you jump into, obviously he's going to come to Pittsburgh. I mean, this is the perfect spot for him. It's not that simple, and that's what I wanted to emphasize here on the video. Behind the Steel Curtain has a really good write-up on Aaron Rodgers and how hard it would be for him to become a Packer. We'll throw that quote up on your screen right now. Quote, "Despite the Packers' cap situation, Rodgers remains under contract for 2022. This means unless Rodgers is given his outright release, which is highly unlikely, a trade would be the only way to acquire the NFL MVP. Just imagine what that trade would have to look like for Rodgers to leave Green Bay. On top of that, he said he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild. Guess what the Steelers are going through? You guessed it, a rebuild," end quote. And so, obviously, there are a couple of hurdles here mentioned by Behind the Steel Curtain, most notably of which having to trade for him and then having to afford him as well. Like, the Steelers don't have a lot of cap space. They're going to be middle of the pack in the National Football League. That can change. You can cut people and free stuff up, but you still would have to pay Rodgers essentially $26.4 million, if not more, in 2022 based on his current contract. Not to say the least, you got to trade for him, right? Draft picks you get to trade away to go and get Aaron Rodgers. It's at least 3 first-round draft picks, right? Unless he's able to wiggle his way out of Green Bay via being cut, which, like they said, is highly unlikely. I just don't see the Steelers really getting Aaron Rodgers. They just really can't. And I think that needs to be said right now for Steeler fans to kind of temper the expectations this offseason. Yes, are they going to get a new quarterback? I think so. I'm not in on the idea that Mason Rudolph is going to be your future in Pittsburgh. Dwayne Haskins is going to be the magical revitalizing his career, via Washington over here to Pittsburgh. I think they're going to trade for somebody. They might go out and sign somebody, but I think the odds of Rodgers being that option are very, very slim. Don't get me wrong. Rodgers is the best quarterback out of anyone on any list that you see, whether it's Russell Wilson or Jimmy Garoppolo or Kenny Pickett, right? He's the best, and that's who I would want in Pittsburgh. I just think it's important to emphasize that the odds of trading for him are very, very unlikely, and so while you're going to see a lot of headlines, Rodgers maybe to Pittsburgh, Rodgers and Mike Tomlin, just take it all with a grain of salt because the likelihood is very, very unlikely. These 4 quarterback options to me are way more likely. I think Jimmy G is a very real possibility. And Jimmy G is about to play in another NFC Championship game. He's 1 win away from going to 2 Super Bowls in his young career. And even though he makes some bad decisions, the Steelers could do a lot worse. And I think that Jimmy G has to be at the top of the Steelers list right now in terms of quarterbacks you could possibly trade for. Obviously, Kenny Pickett, if you want to go the draft route, obviously the Pitt native would be a very easy transition staying in the state of Pennsylvania. Mason Rudolph is always an option, even though we all don't like that option. I think very few of us actually do. And finally, a guy like Marcus Mariota, Jacoby Brissett, guys you can sign in free agency who are available, who have starting experience, have winning experience, and might be able to go to the next level under head coach Mike Tomlin. Again, do I want Aaron Rodgers? Duh. Every single team does. But will he actually come? When you actually get down to the nitty-gritty, the likelihood is very, very slim. Ad break, pin comment down below. Best guess who the Steelers quarterback will be in 2022. Do you have a best guess? Is it Rodgers? Is it Pickett? Is it Garoppolo? Is it somebody else? Let me know who that is down below right now. Now, there are also some other names that you could potentially trade for if you are, really in the mood to trade for a quarterback. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is on the list, but Russell Wilson is another name. Still very expensive, probably 3 first-round draft picks, so hard to do. Matt Ryan is out there as well, and I don't know. We talked about Matt Ryan in the past here on the channel. I don't think he's going to leave Atlanta. I obviously talked about drafting quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, Malik Willis. The list goes on and on and on. We showed you that video later on earlier this year. And finally, Rudolph or Haskins. If you really want to just stay put and build from within and not waste draft picks or money on somebody else, then you could re-sign Dwayne Haskins or, of course, go with Mason Rudolph, although a lot of us aren't very high on that option. Who will be the Steelers starting quarterback in 2022? Very similar to the question that we just asked, but who will be the best of the Steelers quarterback in 2022? Keep giving me your thoughts down below. I'm going to read all those comments in the comment section. Now, before we go and get into our next story here, quick shout out to our friends at BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet is the link that you need to go ahead and jump in on not just betting for the Steelers, but betting on the National Football League. And the promo code Steelers125 gets you a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up. Meaning, if you want to go ahead and bet on the NFC Championship game, the AFC Championship game, tennis is happening right now. The NBA is happening right now. They have a ton of different stuff to bet on there. Their friends at BetUS. Jump on that deal, chatsports.com/bet. That promo code is Steelers125. Okay, I found this article on Behind the Steel Curtain that I want to share with you guys here, or at least share the contents of it, and they did a whole top 5 Steelers team needs, and I was like, okay, let's see what they think the Steelers team needs are. Read it all makes sense. I'm going to give you guys their top 5 list here and see how it compares to your top 5 team needs. Number 1 on that list is center. They basically say that even though Kendrick Green, they're not going to give up on Kendrick Green. He very much did not play very well this past season, which I agree with. He was not very good. A lot of internal pressure there on Big Ben. And so the idea of drafting a center, signing a replacement, or getting him some competition at the position is a need right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers, hence why they say center. Now, Tyler Lindenbaum is a name you're going to see thrown around a lot. He's worn black and gold before with the Iowa Hawkeyes, and he will be a first-round draft pick at center, probably the best center in the draft, best center to come out in a very, very long time. He could be an option to replace Kendrick Green if you really don't feel that great about him, but I still feel like Green can go to that next step, and I think they're going to obviously keep him, but the question is, will they add somebody else to improve the center position according to Behind the Steel Curtain? That was the first need they showed on the list. Next need is offensive tackle, which we all know is a need for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, Behind the Steel Curtain, you're 100% right. The Steelers' offensive line depth chart, it's going to be very different than what it looks like right now. Chucks is going to hit free agency. I don't see them really being able to afford or bring him back, and they're going to cut Zach Banner for salary cap situations. That's almost set in stone in order to free up more cap space we talked about earlier to sign the quarterback, trade for the quarterback, or just get some other key positions of need. They need to go offensive tackle. Maybe they do it in the draft, but there are some pretty good ones in free agency, and I'm sure we'll talk about those in a later video later on this year. What's the biggest need the Steelers have overall? We talk about center, offensive tackle. We'll get to some of the more needs here as listed in the article, but give me your biggest need for the Steelers this offseason down below right now in the comments section. Next biggest need, according to Behind the Steel Curtain, is defensive tackle. Yes, they basically say that it all depends on what's going to happen with Stephon Tuitt, right? How healthy is he? Is he going to come back and be 100%, or is he not? If he's not, then they got to add somebody in free agency, is essentially what the article said, which I agree with. I don't know if it's a top 3 need. I think that Cam Hayward obviously still being there, and the pass rush availability of TJ Watt basically says that your D-line is going to be good regardless of who the other role players are there as well, but according to the article, it says defensive tackle. 4 on the list here is a definite need, and I agree with this one as well. Cornerback. Yes, cornerback is a need for the Pittsburgh Steelers, mainly because, again, free agents, right? Joe Hayden and Ahkello Witherspoon are both free agents. Do you bring back one or the other? I don't think they're going to bring back Hayden due to age. And Witherspoon, maybe on a cheap deal, but I'm not that sold on him either. And so it's a great draft for cornerbacks. There are a couple that'll go in the first round. Andre Booth, Ahmad Gardner out of Cincinnati. There are some in the second round as well. Look for the Steelers, I think, to attack the cornerback spot, maybe in the second or third round of the NFL draft. Now, in regards to what they do in the offseason, training for Aaron Rodgers, signing players, drafting people, we'll cover it here on the channel. Myself and Megan Payton try to get you guys the latest and greatest Steeler news as often as we possibly can, and we're approaching 8K subs here on the channel. If you guys appreciate what we do and you want to be covered and up to date on the Steelers, go down below and hit that red subscribe button. Also, thumbs up, notification bell while you're down there. All right, final position of need according to Behind the Steel Curtain. Number 5 is quarterback. Now, I don't have to say anything about this because a dud's quarterback. Big Ben is not coming back. I mean, even though technically I guess he could change his mind, but he's not. So it's Mason Rudolph, it's Dwayne Haskins, is it Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett? We talked about this, right? Quarterback makes the list. That's probably the most important offseason need in reality. It's just like we put it down because they know we know that they're going to address it, whereas all these other positions, whether it's center, whether it's offensive tackle, defensive lineman, we're not sure exactly where they're going to go with it, but your top 5 again: center, OT, DT, cornerback, and quarterback. All right, there you go. All the time we have today on our Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video. Plenty more content again by myself and Megan Payton coming up later on this week. We appreciate all the brand new subscribers. Be sure to subscribe to the channels. We have plenty of. I'm telling you guys, we're gonna be your one-stop shop for all your Steeler news all off season long, and guarantee you guys that. That's our goal here at Chat Sports. For our Steelers Talk news and rumor video, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off to the rest of your day.